Today we're talking about faithing, which is chapter 5 in the book, Growing With. And the definition of faithing is
a child's growth in owning and embodying their own journey with God as they encounter new experiences and information.
As we all know, when teenagers go through high school and college, they're going to come across a lot of new information. And it's important for them to understand how to integrate that into their faith. And through that process, some of the things that stood out to me here in the book is that faithing is about making sense of our spiritual journey, not merely learning more information. Faithing is about the quality, not the quantity of our believing. And it seeks to integrate, not separate, spirituality and life experiences. So what we want to do is we want to take what they're learning and integrate that into their faith journey. And understand, really, ultimately, that all truth is God's truth, whether it's biblical truth, scientific truth, mathematical truth, that it's all truth that God has established.
Yeah. Providing, this says faithing provides grace, explanations, and conversational spaces. So providing that space with your child that they're growing, and guess what? So are you.
Oh, yeah. We're all in a growing process. Another thing that in the book, it says young people want to talk less about abstract Christian beliefs and more about Jesus. And I understand that. They want to have the personal connection to the faith and how it relates to everyday life.
Yeah, and I took that too as what I will be changing in Sunday school a little bit, because the words, when we're talking about God and Jesus, we're using the words almighty and holy, the triune. And what the book is saying, what we need to be doing is, what kids want to talk about is Jesus being a healer, loving, present, forgiving, a friend. That was kind of an aha for me. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
And also, faithing invites doubts rather than avoids it. I know from personal experience as a father and a youth pastor that there's different stages that the kids go through where they'll have doubts, they'll have questions. They may even go so far as to really challenge you and saying, "I just don't believe in God anymore." And I've had that happen before in my household, and it caused me to laugh out loud, which was probably not the best response. But I know that it was just a response, a reaction to try and get me angry, and it didn't work. But the thing is, it says here, in the midst of seasons when a child's faith still stalls or diverges from our own, the spiritual influence of parents is still paramount. When our kids strive to make their faith their own, they need a solid launching point and at times even something to come back to. So it is normal for them to doubt or question or say they don't believe anymore. I think that the thing is, for you to still be growing in your faith and providing that opportunity for them to come back, to re-engage, to ask questions, to wrestle with doubts, as they test out new ideas and new ideologies that are out there, especially when they go away to college.
Right. And the book also explains that while their behavior may drastically change from going to church, not wanting to go to church at all, that their beliefs may not dip down as far as what their behaviors are showing you. Like they still may be, instead of, they're more searching for God than they are walking away from God, even though they may say something differently to you as the parent, because that's also a way of pushing you away and standing up for what they believe. So.
Another quote that stood out to me was, the glue of faithing in our family is communication. In other words, growing with parents actually talk about faithing. So not that you want to just talk. I think it's also looking for opportunities to do faithing together, whether it's to serve during Christmas time or Thanksgiving time, or whether it's to do a ministry together or go on a mission trip together. I would say, especially as they're going through junior high and high school, take those opportunities to have faith experiences together. But don't be afraid to talk about it too. Make that a casual thing in your house, to be able to talk about issues of faith. Not talk at, but talk with. talk with and ask questions and how they're doing and what's going on. And don't be afraid that they may come to different conclusions than you. They may have different outtakes of faith than you. And you don't want to, you want to be careful of that and allow them to explore for themselves. I know my faith is different than my parents. And I don't expect my kids to be exactly the same as me. You know, of course, we want the core around Jesus Christ being similar, but their expressions of the Christian faith may differ, and as they think through it for themselves.
Yeah, and our faith, your kids' faith, it needs to be part of everyday conversations. It can't just be on Sunday morning. It needs to be kind of part of your life and their life. And you know, don't be afraid of the occasional eye roll.
Oh yeah, you got that right.
Because you're going to get it. I mean, you're going to get it no matter what. So,
Yeah.
What better way to get an eye roll than when you're talking about faith? I mean, not a more important subject to talk to our kids about. So.
Right, and I've noticed also as a father and youth pastor that kids tend to be more progressive than their parents. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. They may have different thoughts and ideas on social issues than you do. That does not mean they became a heretic or a non-Christian, but it just means that they're processing their faith and thinking through it a little bit differently than we are, and that's okay.
That's a good thing.
That's okay. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking on their own is a good thing, no matter what. One of the last lines in the book is, we can rest in the knowledge that while we want our kids to believe in God, God always believes in them and in us. So I think that's just a great statement that even if they're wrestling with what they believe, God always is believing in them. So
right, exactly.
And that's good for them to know.
And then a final quote that I found helpful is, our goal is not to be perfect, but rather to ask ourselves, what are the simple ways we're making our faith and conversations fluid and natural? Like any language, the more we practice, the easier it becomes. And it's simple ways, just simple ways of asking, like, how can I be praying for you? Or do you have any concerns that I can lift up in prayer? It's just having those conversations where you're offering yourself, your faith as an opportunity for them to latch on to as you think about them, as you pray for them. Let them know how you're praying for them. Even if they, there's times in youth group where I throw out prayer requests and nobody has any prayer requests. So I just pray over them. I pray for them. And use those opportunities. When you gather together for a meal, take time to pray for each other. Offer the opportunity for them to pray. As a pastor at family gatherings, it's always easy for someone to say, hey, let's let the preacher pray. And I don't like that. I would rather push it off onto the next generation and hear their prayers and how they pray for us. And so find opportunities to delegate, not only to lead by example, but to also delegate and pull their faith into the conversation or into the opportunities that are available to you.
And you might be surprised at how smart your kids really are.
Oh yeah. And they're listening. They are. I've had many a kid come back to me as an adult saying, I know I didn't seem like I was listening, but I was listening. So they're watching, they're paying attention, and don't ever think that it is your responsibility to farm off the spiritual direction of your child to the children or youth ministry. We're here to assist you. Yeah. So however you raise the bar in your family is how high your kids will attain or try to meet that. If you have a low bar where you come to church Christmas, Easter, I mean, your kids will mimic that. But if you have a high bar where you're getting involved, you're getting plugged in, you're faithing within the children's ministry and the youth ministry, your kids will rise to that occasion, and it won't feel awkward to talk about faith and to live out your faith by doing missions and ministry in small groups. So I encourage you as a parent, get involved and get plugged in, and don't feel that this is something private that you have to keep away from your kids, because then your kids will just, they may not latch on to the faith, but be engaged and involved in faithful activity and conversations with your children and teenagers.
And teenagers.
Yeah, and teenagers. Well, that's it. I think.
it.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week. Take care. Read up on the next chapter.
See you next week.
Hope everything's going well. See you later.